Yo, what's up, everybody? We're back with another prediction and breakdown of UFC 305, the main event, Du Plessis versus Adesanya. And we're here with two beautiful men. No Diddy.
No Diddy.
We're here with Crash MMA and Sooky MMA. Guys, are we hyped for this one or what?
Have to be.
Bro, one of the biggest fights of the year, being slept on, it's crazy. But yeah, very hyped.
I have to agree 100%. I feel like, although a lot of people don't like Izzy, when he fights, it's always big.
100%. The best-selling
Can I ask
pay-per-views last few
why?
years,
I want
probably.
to ask you guys why. As the younger generation, before we even get into it, I want to know why you guys think people don't like Izzy. Because for me, I don't understand. Like, I actually don't understand.
I feel like
Hey,
I'm
Joe,
curious if you do.
up to you.
he's the way he says stuff. He really thinks of himself as the main character, in the entire world. You know what I mean? And sometimes he's a little bit too full of himself in a way which is not like very funny, and he tries and brings those like one-liners that really don't hit sometimes, and the dog stuff basically.
Yeah. I wonder if the
Mostly
dog
the
stuff is
dog
really
stuff.
tough.
Mostly
But he's
the dog stuff.
cringe. It feels like cringe would be the word, right? For a
Yeah.
lot of it.
And there's some like cringe where you're like, okay, he's just a goofy guy, but he's really trying to be cool, and he comes out cringe. So that's basically it.
I
Yeah.
see.
For me, like, I really used to like really like him, but like the dog stuff, I'm like, it's kind of weird if I still will like him. You know, it's like, what does that say about me? Like, it's
That's too self-conscious because one, I think he's just doing the social media thing and playing into a story that people seem to be very, very like the evidence is enough for him to have to like, this could keep me relevant. I mean, I don't pay much attention to it, but yeah, some of the things I've seen are a little too close for comfort.
Yes,
I don't know. He
definitely
wants to
not
be
the
known as
attention you
dog
want.
fiddler. You know.
Yeah, it's not good attention to have for sure. But dude, this fight is. I feel like people are forgetting like how much story comes into this fight. The beef is amazing. I'm really looking forward to the press conference and everything. The mind games, the last press conference we saw between them. I don't know before which event it was, like a month ago. Dricus was coming out with some good responses to Izzy's trash talk. It's gonna be fun for sure.
Yeah, I remember like Izzy said something like, "I don't know who he is, but I'll show him who he is," or some shit like that. And then Dricus was like,
Whatever that
What does
I
means.
don't know what
means?
that means.
"I didn't know what it meant either," but
But
it was kind of weird.
I think we should just get into what we think about the fight and who wins. Who wants to go ahead and start?
All right, I'm gonna start to see how quickly I can do it since Emiel's been on my butt for trying to be shorter. So, the one thing I want to say about Dricus is I had him beating Rob. I had him beating Strickland, even as the fight was happening. So as I was watching that fight with Strickland, I'm looking at the live betting lines, and the commentary is selling me on Strickland. But I'm watching this fight, and I'm seeing a line at plus 150, plus 170, and I'm like, dog, this is a pick'em fight right now. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep slamming Du Plessis. I think I had 5 bets on Du Plessis live during that fight. And I was actually at a bar for a buddy's birthday with my phone on there. Like, I'm an old guy, right? Like, I'm not trying to dance with girls. I'm not trying to listen to the music. So I have my phone on the bar, on its stand, and I'm just going nuts with everybody around me. It's probably embarrassing for some, but just another day in the office for me. And I really thought that he won in the way that Izzy at his worst will lose to Dricus in that version. But I think that Izzy's footwork is better than Strickland's. I think Izzy's mixing up of strikes is better than Strickland's. And I also think we saw the worst version of Adesanya against Strickland. So for me, the work that I'm seeing Izzy put in, plus ways that I could see him staying in a fight against Dricus Du Plessis, I actually am leaning towards Israel here.
This is exactly what I said before as well. I feel like Izzy just was not the same guy that he normally is versus Strickland. I looked at his previous fights, how many fights he had in a year. In 2015, he had 17 fights. 2016, he had 13 fights. Since then, he's always been active, training, like upping his schedule as well. Like with the training, it has been crazy because you have to do wrestling, you have to do striking, cardio, strength, conditioning, everything. It's different when you do MMA, and I feel like he was just too tired, burnt out, and he said that himself as well. And 1 year off, if we look at their last fights, you have to go with Dricus. But I am thinking that Izzy will just show a whole different version. Like prime for prime, Izzy gets this one done. Now, I'm not saying that Izzy will be back in prime form, but I think that he will be good enough to where he should be able to beat Dricus. Probably by decision because his pace isn't the fastest, even in his prime. And Dricus is tough, like very tough. Good cardio as well. So I see Izzy winning this one. I'll go with the decision.
I feel like everybody talks about Izzy's last performance. I feel like he was definitely underestimating Strickland. I think there's no doubt about that. Plus, I think the biggest issue that Strickland brought to the table against Izzy was his how unorthodox he is, like how weird he stands, and Izzy was having trouble with that. And I see in some ways Dricus could bring some problems. How weird he is on the feet against Izzy. He likes to switch his stances. The way he throws his punches, it looks weird, and I feel like if he's putting a lot of pressure, mixing in some takedowns, having Izzy thinking about those to defend those, he could crack Izzy with something like Strickland did. He has more power than Strickland, so I feel like if he cracks him and he drops him like Strickland did, he won't be getting up. Believe it or not, I actually think Dricus will probably have a cardio advantage in this fight. After the Strickland fight, I saw he improved a lot in his cardio. He said he has a new strength and conditioning coach. Izzy looks big, a lot bigger. If they get in some wrestling exchanges, that will hurt his cardio going into the last rounds. I could see a late finish, a late ground and pound finish by Dricus. Maybe a decision just on pure control time and damage, like ground and pound on the floor. I don't know. I see more ways in which Dricus could take this one, and I don't know. I'll probably go with him.
So I will have to agree with the fact that he has more ways to win. But I can't really find myself saying like, yeah, Dricus has better cardio than Izzy. That's for sure another thing. Technically,
Pause. 1 second there. I have to interrupt you because in the two fights that Izzy lost, Pereira and Strickland, I'm sorry to say, but the cardio was a major. Like, he couldn't keep up with the volume and the pace that his opponent was giving to him. So you would have to say that the cardio was a massive issue in those fights. Like, they have.
I disagree 100%.
That is wild. That's wild.
Oh wait,
That's
in
wild.
which
That
fight?
doesn't make
In
sense.
which fight did he look to have
In
issues?
the Pereira fight that he lost and the Strickland fight, in both of those fights, he was getting clipped enough where he couldn't keep up with the pace. Half of the reason he was getting beat up was because he couldn't retaliate. He was getting hit at a faster clip. Yes, it was. He couldn't throw back. He was too tired. He literally couldn't throw back.
I guess Pereira, his leg was like done. That's the reason he couldn't.
The way he's like swinging his body like this, like come on, bro, he's just swinging and swinging. It was terrible. You can't tell me for how elite he looks on the feet. You can't tell me that it's not easy to notice when Izzy is tired because he gets sloppy. When you're that technical at the stand-up, it's easy to see when you're getting sloppy and tired because it shows in how good the quality is of your actual like footwork, punches, all of that. And he slows down. That's another thing with him. So I have to very much disagree with you saying the cardio is not a factor.
Wait. So I do agree that you can see him get sloppier because like in the first 2-3 rounds he looks very good. But obviously he gets a bit tired, and maybe that's just a mental thing to where he can't keep up with his opponents. But I don't really see like in his movements that he really gets like tired. Maybe mentally he isn't there anymore, which is why he isn't as sharp anymore. and a lot of people have this, right? Like once they get tired, they're just not the same. But I really don't see Izzy like gassing out. I
But
really don't
we,
see
we
it at
can
all.
agree that Dricus has a much higher striking output, and
For
he'll be
sure.
mixing him in the
100%.
grappling. And if he was able to keep up that striking output against Strickland for 5 rounds, and he was not gassing out, I don't see why he wouldn't do that against Izzy. And I don't feel I feel like Izzy won't have the same output as Dricus. And yeah, Dricus could just take the fight off that, just off output.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, like, just to the one part where I disagree with you, Emil, especially is if this goes to a decision, I'm a little bit less confident in the Izzy factor. To me, it's going to be like 3-4 rounds of hard work, similar to how he dealt with Pereira in that last one. It's going to be one of these like perfect Izzy moments, footwork, timing, 2 to 3 strikes, count. Like it's going to be picture perfect if Izzy wins because I just think grinding 5 rounds, bro. Du Plessis beat a guy who honestly looked a lot better against Izzy. So I just think that like exactly what Pedro's saying, that grind, like Izzy has to avoid everything about that. He needs to go back to having opponents scared to come closer to him. That's how he was winning these fights so dominantly. Coming close, boom, leg kick, boom, up top jab. Like it was just a lot of like keeping fighters at bay. Now he couldn't do it to a Pereira. He couldn't do it to Strickland. And his biggest test is is Dricus. I feel like that style is his biggest kryptonite right now. And unless he's at his best, there's a good chance he loses. I just think we're going to see a very good version of Izzy.
I see, it's hard to count Dricus out after all these
For
crazy
sure.
wins he've been putting
Agreed.
together.
It
And
will be
every
competitive.
fight every fight I think he's gonna lose, and he looks horrible. The technique is weird. It looks weird, you know what I mean? And he still manages to pull it off. So I'm not gonna bet against him one more time. This time
It's
I'll take
hard,
him.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
A question. I got a question for you guys. So the thing for me is that DDP actually reminds me a lot of like the old school fighters. And would you guys say that with how he looks, you could make an argument that he is one of the better MMA fighters in the entire UFC?
Yeah.
Because even if he looks rough, I swear he's in the fight no matter where it goes.
He
And that to
mixes
me
it
is
up
nuts.
very well. He's very well rounded.
Wow.
He's not great anywhere though.
Listen, if we go champ for champ, Bilal beats him, Islam beats him, like pound for pound, of course, pound for pound. Bilal beats him, Islam beats him, Topuria beats him, O'Malley beats him. Pantoja, I feel like that will be a close fight because they're basically like they're very
Pantoja,
similar.
pelo amor de Deus.
Pantoja, I'm sorry, bro. If we
That's
look
my
at
favorite champion in the UFC right now. Let's go.
Pereira beats him, Jones beats him. I don't think he's one of the best MMA fighters. Like I don't see like one champion right now to where
No,
I'm like,
see, you're missing my point. See, I think Pedro understood my question a lot better. You're not thinking about the best, like when you, all those fighters you named in a specific discipline, they're actually one of the best in the world. I never once said that Dricus is the best at anything. But when you look at old fights, bro, the thing about DDP is all those fighters you named, he will find a way to stay in the fight against every single one of them. Whether it's him
what?
bleeding and broken, he might still keep a close decision. And you can't say that about everybody. I really believe he has a style that reminds me of guys where they were so close in terms of just Pedro said it best, I think. You're not the best at anything, but you're very well trained in everything. And back in the day, those were all the fights. So a random guy could find a random submission or a random knockout against anybody on any given day because that's how most fighters were. And it's funny to see that at the highest level in 2024 and it finding success.
I get what you're saying, but overall, like most champions are well rounded though. So that's my point as well. Like name me one champion that's not well rounded.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but see, we're talking about just champions. I just said fighters in the UFC. Like in terms of like you're naming the best 8 fighters on the planet, and now we're talking about DDP. So you're kind of already proving my point, and we're kind of saying DDP is a top 10 fighter in the world without having a single top 3, top 5 discipline in his entire arsenal. Like,
20.
he's
I will
not the
say top
best at
20.
anything.
I will say top 20. That's still good.
And name me 8 guys, you know? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, of
Guys,
course.
so shall we get into our little bet?
Oh, well, we're doing a bet here.
I think we should, like... I
Hey,
think...
listen, I'm going with Izzy all day, every day, bro.
Okay, me, it's a very close
my
fight, and I'm gonna take Dricus. Suki, my
So
friend.
what's the bet? What's the bet? What's happening?
I want to hear what's... Suki's taking Dricus, correct?
No, I can't. So for me, the one thing about me is I really enjoy live betting. So if I were to take a bet in this fight, I'm just looking to see the
Don't
best
look at odds.
value.
Forget odds.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry. I thought that's what
This
you were
between us
asking.
three.
Then in that case, whew, yeah, put me on the spot. I was leaning Izzy for this fight, so I gotta go Izzy. If we're just going win-loss, I gotta.
Suki, let me know if you want to jump in here. So, I have my feelings about Izzy. Not a big fan of his dog stuff and all this stuff. If he wins, I'll have to whatever Emil chooses. I will post some very good words about him on my story, saying how good of a fighter he is, how good of a person he is.
Exactly.
I'll have to go all out on my stories. And what should you do if Dricus wins, though? We had an idea before. You want to go ahead?
Yeah. So he thinks that Cobb got robbed against Mokaev. I don't. So then, like, on my story, I will say, you guys, I just rewatched the fight, and I think that Cobb won the fight against Mokaev.
I have a disclaimer. I think he should have got a point deduction, and that's why he got robbed.
100%. I don't even think that's fair because Pedro's right on both the court. So he's going to be right about Dricus winning, and he's already right about that fight being absolute bullshit.
You said
And you're
that
just
you
going to
thought
talk
he
about
wins.
that?
What's this guy doing,
This guy
bro?
talking about you personally, and you're just putting up a fight that makes no... Yeah, you got to put Emiel to the test. You got to do something way better than that.
So Emiel
But
has to
Cap should have
admit
won that fight, bro.
he should have, and Emiel has to go ahead and say that Cap should have won that fight, and he's very happy that Mokaev got cut.
Oh, shit.
How are we talking?
Do we have a deal? You're gonna have to
He
make
hates
me.
that.
You're gonna have to make me glaze a dog diddler. So
Oh, you have to blaze the blazer.
I think it's fair, huh?
That is fair. That is
And
100%
Suki,
fair.
and Suki will have to say that Dana White is right about Tom Aspinall not deserving the title shot.
Yo, I love Dana, though. Deep down, I love Dana, so I'll say it if I have to.
All right. We're talking too much trash now. Thank you guys for watching.
Pedro wants to yell at me about something, right?
No, I don't. I
Thank
think
you guys for watching. It was a fun video. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I will see you in the next one. Yeah.
Peace.